The Galactic Council's laughter echoed through the crystalline halls of Station Nexus as they reviewed humanity's entry for the Grand Engineering Challenge. Ambassador Keth VII, his metallic carapace gleaming under the artificial suns, held up the datapad with barely concealed amusement. "Wood?" he chittered to his colleagues, mandibles clicking in the Zephyrian equivalent of mirth. "The humans want to build their entry from wood?" The challenge was simple in concept, devastating in execution. Construct a vessel capable of surviving the maelstrom, a region of space where gravitational anomalies, electromagnetic storms, and quantum fluctuations created conditions that had destroyed every probe sent into it. The prize was membership in the Inner Council and access to technologies that could advance a civilization by millennia. Every species had brought their finest. The Korthians wielded their legendary neutronium composites, the Veltar presented their phase-shifting metamaterials, and the synthetic architects offered structures of pure crystallized time. Each entry represented the pinnacle of their respective civilizations' metallurgy and engineering prowess. And then, there was humanity's entry. Captain Sarah Chen stood before the assembled representatives, her weathered hands resting on the YI podium. Behind her, holographic displays showed detailed schematics of what appeared to be, impossibly, a wooden sailing ship scaled up to interstellar proportions. "The Endeavor," she announced calmly, "is constructed primarily from modified Terran oak, reinforced with hemp fiber composites and sealed with organic polymers derived from tree resins." The silence that followed was broken only by the soft humming of the station's life support systems. Then came the questions, each more incredulous than the last. "Wood cannot withstand the forces within the maelstrom," declared Prime Technician Vox of the Korthians, his voice a grinding of stone against metal. "Our neutronium hulls have barely survived preliminary exposure." Chen nodded respectfully. "You're absolutely right that conventional materials have failed. That's precisely why we chose a different approach." She gestured, and the display zoomed in on the ship's construction. "Wood isn't just dead plant matter. In its natural state, it's a composite material, cellulose fibers bound in a lignin matrix. But we've enhanced it." The schematics revealed the truth. The wood had been modified at the cellular level. Genetic engineering had created trees that grew with microscopic channels throughout their structure. These channels were filled with a network of self-repairing biomechanical fibers that could respond to stress, redirect force, and even sacrifice sections of themselves to protect the whole. "The Veltar phase shifters are impressive," Chen continued, "but they require enormous energy to maintain their altered states. Our wood naturally absorbs and dissipates energy through its grain structure. When stressed beyond its limits, it deforms gradually, giving warning and maintaining structural integrity far longer than rigid materials." She paused, meeting the gaze of each council member in turn. "But the real advantage isn't in the material itself. It's in our relationship with it." The display shifted to show human crew members working on the ship. Unlike other species who remained safely outside their vessels during construction, humans crawled through the wooden framework, feeling for stress points, listening to the ship's groans and creaks, adjusting the structure based on intuition as much as instrumentation. "Every human sailor knows their ship," Chen explained. "They can feel its moods, predict its failures, and coax performance from it that exceeds its theoretical capabilities. This isn't mysticism, it's generations of symbiotic evolution between humans and their vessels." Ambassador Keth VII leaned forward, his skepticism evident. "Even if your organic approach has merit, the maelstrom contains forces that would pulverize any carbon-based structure. The electromagnetic storms alone will be channeled through the ship's natural grain," Chen interrupted smoothly. "Wood is an excellent electrical conductor along its grain and an insulator across it. We've oriented every plank to create a three-dimensional maze that will trap and dissipate electromagnetic energy rather than fight it." The challenges continued for hours, but Chen had an answer for each one. Gravitational shears? The wood's flexibility would allow the ship to bend without breaking. Radiation bombardment? The organic structure would self-repair at the molecular level. Quantum fluctuations? The ship's natural randomness would resonate with quantum uncertainty rather than being torn apart by it. 3 months later, the trials began. One by one, the great metal vessels of the galaxy's finest civilizations entered the maelstrom. The Corthian ship, mighty as a fortress, held together for 17 minutes before its neutronium hull developed, microscopic fractures that propagated into catastrophic failure. The Veltar vessel phased through the first gravitational anomaly beautifully, then lost coherence when its energy reserves depleted. The architect's time crystal ship simply stopped existing in any comprehensible sense when it encountered a temporal paradox. Finally, the Endeavour approached the maelstrom's edge. The wooden ship looked impossibly fragile against the writhing chaos of distorted space-time. Its organic curves and natural imperfections stood in stark contrast to the geometric perfection of its failed predecessors. Captain Chen felt the ship's first contact with the anomaly field through her bare hands on the wheel. The ancient wood transmitted every vibration, every stress, every change in the cosmic winds. She adjusted course not through computer calculations but through the whispered warnings of timber that had grown in Earth's forests and now sailed between the stars. The Endeavour bent and flexed, its structure flowing like a living thing. When gravitational forces tried to tear it apart, the wood compressed and stretched, distributing the load through grain patterns that had evolved to survive centuries of earthly storms. When electromagnetic chaos struck, the ship's natural channels guided the energy safely away from critical systems. When quantum uncertainty threatened reality itself, the Endeavour's organic randomness embraced the chaos and found harmony within it. For 12 hours, the wooden ship danced through conditions that had shattered the greatest engineering marvels of galactic civilization. It emerged on the far side scarred and weathered, but whole. The Galactic Council's stunned silence spoke, louder than any celebration. Later, as humanity was formally inducted into the Inner Council, Ambassador Keth VII approached Captain Chen. His earlier condescension had been replaced by something approaching awe. "How did you know?" he asked. "How did you know that the answer wasn't stronger materials or more advanced technology?" Chen smiled, running her hand along the Endeavour's worn rail. "Because we never forgot that the strongest structures aren't the ones that refuse to bend. They're the ones that bend without breaking, that work with the forces around them instead of fighting them." She looked up at the alien stars, visible through the ship's organically curved viewport. "Metal may be strong, but life endures." The Endeavour sailed on through the cosmos, its wooden heart beating with the rhythm of ancient forests, carrying humanity toward a future where the organic and the infinite dance together among the stars.